Are brakes DIY?
Brakes are definitely DIY. It's something that's pretty easy to do if you have basic hand tools, and you can save yourself hundreds.
Today we're replacing brake pads and rotors on my 2015 Ford F-150. We'll show you the step-by-step of our DIY brake job today. We're going to show you all the tools that we use so that you can see just how easy it is to do your own brakes.
Brake jobs are pretty easy in general, but on trucks it tends to be a little bit easier just because it's so big, you can get in there and it's easy to work with. So we're going to show you how we do that.
We'll put affiliate links for all of these items in the description down below.
But this is a great combo in general. If you're daily driving and you still have some trailer usage in there, this is a great setup for it.
Let's get this thing jacked up and we'll get the wheels off. We've got the truck jacked up and we have it on some jack stands for safety.
Always make sure that anytime you're under the vehicle and you have jack stands going on, that they're in the correct location, and give your vehicle a good bump. Make sure it's not going anywhere because nobody wants to be crushed by their own vehicle.
Right, and we still have tension on the jack, so we're double covered. Because my truck has 50,000 miles and it's 9 years old, we're gonna swap out the brake fluid too. We'll show you that at the end. We may be buying new lug nuts today. The socket size for the factory nuts was 22 millimeters.
Your caliper slide pins are going to be a 13 millimeter socket, while your caliper bracket itself is going to be a 21 millimeter.
All right, let's get that caliper off.
We're going to set that right there, and we're also going to pull the caliper bracket off.
What size is that?
This one is a 21 millimeter. We're also going to give you the torque specs when we put these back together, so you have the torque specifications for the caliper brackets. But these pads are pretty well done, so let's go ahead and get the rotors off and we'll get the new ones on there.
We're doing brakes today because this 2015 Ford F-150 has only 54,000 miles, but these brakes have never been changed before. 9 years old and only 54,000 miles. It's pretty good. Depending on where you live with the amount of road salt, this might be the hard part of the job. We live here in Las Vegas, so we don't get a lot of road salt.
Let's clean up the hubs and put on new rotors. We're going to go ahead and get this little bit of surface rust off this hub. We're going to use the wire brush, get that off of there, and put the new ones on. We're going to take a little bit of anti-seize and put around the base of this hub so the rotor won't rust to it. It's not much of a problem here, but it might be a problem where you live. So the old rotors still have a little bit of life left in them, but these ones are pretty warped, and if you turn rotors, they heat up even quicker, so it's easier to warp them again in the future. So for the little bit of extra that it costs, we went ahead and replaced these.
And these are drilled and slotted, so it's an upgrade.
So we're snapping in these new guides for the pads. Any decent set of brake pads should come with these. Always swap these out. And always pull your pins out of these. Put a little bit of the anti-seize or your brake juice on there. Don't have to get all crazy with this stuff because it gets everywhere. And these are ready to go back on.
Torque specs on these bolts was 184. So we're going to get these torqued up to spec. If you don't have a torque wrench this big, you can rent one. AutoZone or O'Reilly's.
So it's very important on the multi-piston brake pads or the multi-piston calipers that you push the brake pads in evenly. Because if you were just to go one at a time, when you bottom one of these out, it'll seize up that piston in there and you can't get the other ones back in. So we'll just use the C-clamp in the old brake pad and twist it back in. Before we put our new pads in, these guides that we put on there, we're just going to put a little bit of anti-seize just to keep everything sliding. And we're also going to do the same thing on the caliper, on the contact plates, and the pistons. And we've got our new pads, and these things are some very beefy pads. Then we'll put our caliper back on there, tighten it down, and we are done on this side. Now watch when you put your slide pins in here. Some of these are directional and some of them aren't. These ones are, and they have a flat spot on each side. Make sure that that flat spot's sticking out. It'll just help keep it from spinning when you put it, when you go to torque the nuts back down. And these are one of those things that you probably should use a torque spec on them, but we're just going to make sure they're nice and tight because that's what we've always done.
Couple of ugga-duggas.
There's some things to get persnickety about on the torque spec, but this isn't one of them. Let's go ahead and clean up that rotor a little bit and put our wheel back on. When you put your new rotors on, inevitably it's going to get a little bit of grease and stuff on there. You just want to make sure you get most of that off. So hit it with a little bit of brake cleaner and a paper towel and clean them up. The backside's not quite as easy to get to, but spray a little bit in there, do the same thing.
All right, we are at Discount Tire because we definitely need to pick up some lug nuts. We're gonna run inside there and see if they have any. All right, they had what we needed. We're headed back home and we're gonna put these things on.
The guys at Discount definitely hooked us up on these. So we're back with our new lug nuts. If you guys are interested at all, this is the part number on the box. These are solid one-piece lug nuts instead of the two-piece cap chrome ones that are notorious on the F-150s. So let's get this wheel put back on and we'll button this side up.
Hey, that's a nice hat you got there. Where'd you get that hat?
MrFredsDIY.com.
Did you get the shirt there too?
No, I stole it.
We're gonna go do the other side off camera, and the next time you see us, we're gonna be doing the back. All right, same deal. We're jacking up the back, and then we're gonna use the jack stands for safety. We'll get this thing secured and get the wheels off.
Oh.
Ugh.
All right, well now we're in problem territory.
If you've ever had to deal with a two-piece lug nut, let us know in the comments down below. How do you like those, Junior?
I don't.
That's what we're talking about right there.
These back ones, it's going to be the 13 millimeter again on the slide pins, but on the caliper brackets, it's going to be an 18 millimeter. So we're going to go ahead and get these off and we'll show you what we're doing. Caliper brackets off just like the front. Let's take these rotors off and we'll switch them out for the new ones. So these might stick up on the back a little bit too, because inside the hat on these rotors, they do have traditional drum brakes for the parking brake. All right, so our new ones are on there, and we don't have to reset the parking brakes on these or the shoes. If it is a little loose, you can adjust the star wheel on there, or just back up a few times, and when you hit the brakes in reverse, it'll automatically adjust them up. Got our old hardware off of there. Let's go ahead and grease these up, just like we did the fronts. Voila. And let's get some new hardware put on these. All right, we got some shiny new hardware. Let's pop these on. Perhaps the top one will be more camera friendly. So on these, if you get one side started, usually you can just work your way down the track on these and it's not as bad. But some of these are a little more fun than others. A little bit of anti-seize on the tracks there. Keep everybody happy. Channel your inner Bob Ross, like happy trees. All right, let's put these back on there and we'll torque them down. So you're supposed to torque the caliper bolts on the rears to 110 pounds per the Haynes manual. So we're gonna go ahead and get these tightened down and we'll put some brake pads in here. Make sure you stay tuned to the end because after we're done putting the pads on this, we're gonna go ahead and flush out the brake fluid and show you how we do that.
Nice.
So we're all set up on these, same thing.
Single piston caliper back here.
Use the old brake pad and not the new one. Crank them down and you're good to go. And it shouldn't get too crazy on you, but if these do start to spin, pop a 14mm box wrench on there and that'll keep those pins from spinning.
We're gonna leave this wheel off for now and do the other side off camera because we are going to
Flush the brake fluid.
We're gonna flush the brake fluid.
So the first step in doing this is we're going to suck all the old fluid out of the brake reservoir, and we're going to use this fluid extractor to do it. But luckily we're just coming out of Thanksgiving, so you should know where your turkey baster is.
It's funny how the bird is almost the same color as my truck.
Your truck wants to be the same color as the bird. Go ahead and refill the reservoir on this, and the main goal is to not let the reservoir go empty again once you start bleeding the brakes. But don't tighten it down, that way it avoids any splashing. And this is now a two-person operation, so we're going to have one person inside the truck and one person bleeding the brake. So we have our bleeder right here on the back. What we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of hose and an empty water bottle. The hose helps if it's clear, but if you don't have one, the clear water bottle will do just fine. On these, I like to break them loose with the socket first and then put our open end wrench on there, so that way you just don't strip anything out. So that guy's popped loose. Got our wrench on there. And our hose. Alright, So the hose is pressed onto the bleeder. We've got a wrench on there. And now we're just going to give instructions to the guy inside. So we're going to crack that open a little bit. All right, push it all the way to the floor and hold it. All right, pump it a couple times. Holding. Pump it. Holding. Pump it. Holding. Oh, there, we're starting to get some nasty fluid out of there. All right. Pump it. Holding. All right. Our brake fluid is starting to run clear, so let's do one more. Pump it. Holding. All right. And you can release. All right, so now we're gonna take this off, tighten it back up, and we're gonna do the same thing to all four corners. These ones are just a little more difficult to film, especially without the truck in the air. But you're just gonna do the same things as we did on the back, on the front. The bleeder valve is that same 11 millimeter. So you're gonna put the wrench on there, hose, have somebody pump it, and away you go.
So the idea here is to do that same process to all four wheels. We're gonna pump it up, drain it until it runs clear, and that's how we're gonna swap out all the fluid.
Meanwhile, after you're done with each wheel, make sure you check the brake fluid reservoir and make sure you keep it topped off.
Right, you don't wanna let that thing run empty.
So we changed our brake fluid out, and that's why you change your brake fluid. It's supposed to be nice and clear, and this is not nice and clear. So we're gonna go ahead and top up our brake fluid with new, fresh fluid after we've pumped out everything. We used exactly 1 quart. If you enjoy automotive content, make sure you check out some of our other videos. We have a few different videos of the Trans Am, and we've got some other cool stuff coming too.
Thanks for watching.